Blake Lively is speaking up after Justin Baldoni filed a second lawsuit, this time a bombshell lawsuit against herself and husband Ryan Reynolds.
I would have people who really resented that because they were like, we just hired you to be an actor. Yet when I went in the meetings, I would just seem like I'm just there to be the actor and ready to get the gig. I wouldn't reveal that I actually need to have authorship in order to fulfill.
But when the movie ultimately premiered in August of 2024, Baldoni lauded Lively's performance as a, quote, strong, funny, and intelligent heroine.
The fight between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni keeps getting intense as they head to trial soon,
accusing her co-star of sexual harassment and launching a smear campaign against her.
Nothing good ever comes from pointing the finger at somebody.
This ends with me. I'm done. I'm tired.
Drama surrounding It Ends With Us has been all the talk lately, and unfortunately, with so much attention, Blake Lively has been put in the hot seat on social media.
During the It Ends With Us promotional tour, Blake Lively faced public backlash for a perceived insensitive approach to endorsing the film. Some critics called out her focus on marketing her beauty line during press interviews and for not directly addressing the film's important themes of domestic violence.
Lively's legal team is now responding, saying it's another chapter pulled from the abuser playbook.
Following the carpet, Ryan and Blake also made a cameo in the live special, with Ryan alluding to the drama.
How's it going?
Great. Why? What have you heard?
I'm a little speechless. It feels very surreal. I probably should have gathered myself before I stepped on the carpet and took all of this in. I'm just grateful. I'm grateful to Colleen for trusting me, for writing such a beautiful book. I'm grateful to her mother for allowing it to happen, because really this was in honor of her mom.
What we're talking about is so important and so meaningful that we're able to have this much anticipation, and so many people want to go see it and are talking about it. That's what I'm grateful for.
And you had a key part.
Many speculations, facts, and theories have been passed regarding the things that went on between Blake and Justin on the set of It Ends With Us.
Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds are all smiles amid their ongoing legal battle. On Sunday night, the couple attended the SNL 50th anniversary special in New York City.
The fallout from these allegations against Justin Baldoni have led to many damning setbacks for the filmmaker and actor. His talent agency, WME, quickly parted ways with him following Blake Lively's lawsuit.
Talent agency giant WME telling the New York Times it dropped Baldoni from its roster, just one day after Lively filed a legal complaint accusing him of sexual harassment and retaliation.
Lively, however, remains represented by the agency alongside her husband, Ryan Reynolds. Furthermore, Vital Voices, an organization that had previously honored Baldoni for, quote, elevating women and helping to end domestic violence, rescinded his award in the aftermath of the suit.
It took only 90 minutes for Justin Baldoni to get what might be one of the biggest early courtroom wins of his career against Blake Lively. In that short window of time, everything seemed to go sideways for Blake and her team, leaving them scrambling to figure out how to regain control of this spiraling legal battle. And let me tell you, the stakes are impossibly high. Although this wasn't the final ruling on the matter, it did set the tone for how this entire saga will move forward. And from what we've seen so far, things look pretty bleak on Blake's end. Before we dive into the courtroom drama, let's rewind and break down exactly how we got here. Blake Lively, beloved actress and fashion icon, dropped an absolute bombshell on the entertainment world when she filed a $250 million lawsuit against Justin Baldoni. The accusations? According to Blake's complaint, Justin allegedly harassed her, though details on that claim are still fuzzy in public documents. If Blake's allegations alone weren't shocking enough, Justin's response took the entire situation to another level. Rather than back down, he countersued for $400 million, accusing Blake of extortion and defamation. The staggering amount, $150 million more than Blake's initial lawsuit, made it clear that Justin has no intention of rolling over. It was almost as if he was saying, if you want to drag me into court, then let's really do this. Suddenly, one of Hollywood's more unexpected rivalries was born. Both of these stars are well known. Blake for her high-profile career and enviable lifestyle, and Justin for his work in television and film, not to mention his growing presence as a producer and director. Fans on both sides were left stunned, wondering how two such seemingly likable figures could end up at legal odds so severe that it amounts to hundreds of millions of dollars. Fast forward to the day they finally stepped into court. The tension in the room was palpable from the moment the doors opened. Blake Lively arrived with her top-tier legal team, clearly hoping to take the offensive. On the other side, you had Justin Baldoni and his attorney, Brian Friedman, who, by all accounts, walked in looking like a man on a mission. Friedman, for anyone unfamiliar, has developed a bit of a reputation as a legal pit bull. He's not shy about taking on big cases, and he's certainly not afraid of making waves in the media. In fact, he's the same lawyer who publicly vowed to sue Blake into oblivion if she continued to push what he calls false narratives. That kind of fiery rhetoric set the stage for an undeniably combative legal showdown. And combative it was. From the moment the gavel sounded, Friedman came out swinging. He challenged Blake's legal arguments, took jabs at her credibility, and wasted no time reminding the court that Blake herself had taken these accusations public long before Justin had a chance to defend himself. As Friedman spoke, you could practically see Blake's lawyers shift uncomfortably in their seats, clearly dismayed by the tone he was setting. The first major clash, Blake's team attempted to persuade the judge to implement a gag order on Friedman. They argued that he was too talkative, too aggressive, and too eager to give interviews outside the courtroom, essentially painting him as a publicity hound who was turning the case into a media circus. But Blake's own lawyers had also been active in the media, offering sound bites and providing commentary about Justin's alleged wrongdoing. By the time the judge heard from both sides, it seemed clear that a gag order would be one-sided and unfair. As a result, the judge ruled decisively against Blake's request. It was a fast and stinging defeat for her team, especially since it underscored the idea that Blake's side might be more interested in controlling the narrative than fighting an honest legal battle. If you thought trying to gag Friedman was the end of Blake's strategy for damage control, think again. Her legal team then pivoted, complaining that Friedman's constant media appearances were making it impossible for them to respond adequately. According to them, every time they tried to formulate a rebuttal, Friedman was already on to the next big revelation, leaving them perpetually behind. The judge, however, was not buying it. From his perspective, both sides had engaged with the media from the start, and the law doesn't provide special treatment just because one party is more proactive with public statements. In other words, if Blake's team wanted a quieter legal process, they should have avoided going to publications like the New York Times in the first place. Perhaps the biggest shock of the day for Blake's camp was discovering that Justin wasn't content to fight this battle solely within the legal system. He had launched a website specifically dedicated to the lawsuit, complete with tabs that promised to display video footage, receipts, legal filings, and other pieces of evidence. Blake's lawyers were absolutely furious. They insisted that creating such a site was a grossly improper tactic, accusing Justin of trying to publicly smear Blake before the court had even reached a decision. But Friedman had a simple and rather pointed response. Blake initiated the media attention herself, and she did so in a way that gave Justin almost no time to respond to her allegations. Therefore, why shouldn't Justin have the opportunity to set the record straight via his own platform? The judge seemed to find Friedman's argument more compelling than Blake's complaints, yet again siding with Justin. For Blake, this was a brutal reminder that legal strategies built around controlling the narrative can backfire if you appear to be controlling it too heavily or too aggressively. Now, let's talk about the event that truly shook Blake's team to its core, the deposition. A deposition is a critical stage in any major lawsuit. It's when witnesses or the parties involved are questioned under oath, and everything they say can be used at trial. There's no room for spin, selective storytelling, or dodging uncomfortable questions. You have to answer, point blank, in front of attorneys who are looking for inconsistencies or admissions. Blake's legal team, clearly alarmed by Friedman's combative style, made an unusual request. They wanted to select the individual who would question Blake during her deposition. This was a direct attempt to avoid facing Friedman, the man they've publicly called ruthless and unethical. But here's the thing. In most legal proceedings, you don't get to pick your opposing counsel. The party who files the questions is the party's chosen attorney, plain and simple. Sure enough, the judge didn't entertain the request for long. He ruled that Blake Lively does not get to choose who deposes her. And the reaction from Blake's legal camp? Pure dread. Everyone in that courtroom could see it on their faces. They knew exactly what it meant. Friedman was going to have his shot at Blake, and there was no escape. This is the question that has people buzzing both inside and outside the courtroom. If Blake Lively is telling the absolute truth, that she was genuinely harassed by Justin Baldoni, then why is she so adamant about dodging Friedman in a deposition? Why isn't she eager to get her story on record, under oath, and let the facts speak for themselves? Of course, there could be numerous reasons. High-profile cases are complicated, and sometimes even the victim in a situation feels stressed or intimidated. Still, the optics are not great for Blake. Her reluctance to be questioned by Friedman fuels rumors that she might not have as strong a case as she initially led the public to believe. It also lends credence to Justin's claim that this was all some sort of extortion scheme. And if that's the narrative that sticks, Blake could be in for a world of trouble, both legally and publicly. By the end of this hearing, the judge made it clear that both lawsuits, the $250 million claim from Blake and the $400 million counterclaim from Justin, would be consolidated into a single case. What does that mean for these two Hollywood heavyweights? Essentially, it accelerates the timeline and ensures that there's going to be one major courtroom showdown rather than a drawn-out series of separate hearings and motions. The trial has been set for March, a date that, if it holds, could become one of the most dramatic days in Hollywood legal history. Of course, the two sides might choose to settle before then, but given how acrimonious everything has been so far, a peaceful out-of-court resolution seems increasingly unlikely. And if it really does go to trial, you'd better believe it's going to dominate headlines across the world. Let's not forget the staggering sum at stake. If Blake Lively loses, she's on the hook for $400 million. That's an amount that even top-tier Hollywood celebrities would find crippling, no matter how successful Ryan Reynolds is or how lucrative some of his business ventures might be. Losing that kind of money would be catastrophic for any couple. It's more than their combined net worth, according to most estimates. So now the big question becomes, where is Ryan Reynolds in all of this? Is he quietly advising Blake behind the scenes, or is he just hoping that this whole ordeal goes away? Fans are dying to know, but so far we haven't heard much from him publicly. One thing is certain, if Blake loses this legal battle, the financial ramifications could haunt them both for a long, long time. While the legal system moves at its own pace, public opinion can flip in an instant. Blake Lively was once seen as nearly untouchable, a glamorous actress beloved for her style, her roles, and her seemingly perfect family life with Ryan Reynolds. Now, that shiny image is starting to crack. Fans are split. Some remain staunchly in her corner, convinced she must be telling the truth. Others are beginning to suspect there's more to this story than what Blake initially revealed. On the other side, Justin Baldoni is working overtime to gather every scrap of evidence he can. And here's the kicker. The launch of that lawsuit website was a game changer. By making documents, videos, and receipts available for the entire world to see, Justin is essentially crowdsourcing public support. He's saying, don't just take my word for it. Look at the evidence for yourself. It's a bold strategy. If the evidence is indeed strongly in his favor, it could demolish what's left of Blake's credibility. If, however, Justin's evidence is weak or misleading, it might backfire. Either way, the public is getting a front-row seat to one of the most dramatic Hollywood brawls in recent history. With every passing day, the question becomes more pressing. Should Blake Lively consider apologizing, retracting, or settling? Because let's face it, a $400 million loss isn't just career-denting money, it's career-ending money. Even if Ryan helps shoulder some of the fallout, the damage to Blake's reputation could be beyond repair. And it might be years, if ever, before Hollywood fully embraces her again. In the entertainment industry, time and time again, we see how public perception can shift on a dime. One day you're America's sweetheart, and the next day you're embroiled in a scandal that won't go away. Blake Lively might be staring down that reality right now. If there's any chance of an amicable resolution, it might be in her best interest to explore it sooner rather than later. For now, all eyes are on the next phase of this legal battle. Will there be more pretrial motions, more attempts at gag orders, more explosive revelations from Justin's camp? Possibly all of the above. One thing's for certain, this fight is far from over, and neither side shows any signs of backing down. But from what we can see, Justin Baldoni is clearly in the driver's seat at the moment. He scored victory after victory at that last hearing, and that momentum might carry him all the way to trial. Blake Lively, on the other hand, appears to be playing defense, losing critical motions, and facing the prospect of a brutal deposition with a lawyer she dreads. No one could have predicted that a once-whispered Hollywood conflict would escalate into this level of spectacle. A $250 million lawsuit, a $400 million countersuit, high-powered attorneys, media blitzes, and now an impending trial that could change both stars' lives forever. Yet here we are, watching what might become a cautionary tale about how quickly reputations can be destroyed in the age of instant media. All that's left now is to wait and see whether cooler heads prevail or if we're really going to witness this case explode in open court in March. Get ready for more plot twists, more heated arguments, and possibly even more pleas for gag orders, because this is shaping up to be one of the most talked about Hollywood legal battles of the decade. If you thought the tea was hot now, buckle up. It's only going to get hotter from here.